This time it may be a little longer. There is a week of exhibition time in this fantastic space. And it's also very rare, and there are many young and cutting-edge creators like some college students in school. And we also invited some international artists, such as a music producer from the Netherlands this time, including VJ, a very talented artist's work. There are also works by artists from Rome, Italy, and many international works that have been exhibited. It is a great opportunity to collide modernity and tradition in ancient architecture. Because I have a lot of students in the GemSeed class. And I see that most of these students actually come from universities. Some students may still be in a relatively confused stage of their life. So what I want to share with you this time is actually my entire emotional journey that has been going on until now. Then let's see if I can bring some thinking to some young creators, although I'm not very old either. Time will not be in vain, my path of growth. This is the theme I want to talk about this time. Because of my entire experience up until now, I personally think there has been a little bit of a setback. And these are some of my current creative experiences, such as the International Design Expo. Of course, it was with our team from Xiamen that we participated in such an exhibition. And there have also been collaborations with brands such as Porsche and Kappa. And then I went to participate in events like the Shanghai International Film Festival last year and the year before. As an individual creator, landing one's work on something like the 3D mapping scene on the right also includes the presentation of digital art in some buildings, including some stage design works for Beijing International Fashion Week, which are some of my previous creative experiences. What I want to share with you this time is my life experience. Firstly, when I was in college, I had 4 experiences of taking the postgraduate entrance examination. At that time, I took the exam for an interdisciplinary major at Tsinghua University. At that time, it was very difficult to take the exam for this major with probably over 300 people. More than 300 people went to take the exam back then, but only about 3 people were likely to be admitted in the end. And in my senior year, I was really lucky to be able to enter the interview. Can only be said that we have entered the top 10 stage. However, due to various reasons and intense competition, I ultimately failed. It can be said that it was a very close time to my dream, right? However, although I went to the postgraduate entrance examination 4 times in succession, I take the same major every year, and my friends and family have told me many times, "Do you want to change your major? Do you want to change your direction? Do you have to take such a difficult test?" But I did persevere, even though I didn't receive an admission letter. But what I want to share with you at this stage is, when you were still in college, achieving something successful may not be that important. Although I didn't get the admission notice in the end. But I think the most important thing in these 4 years is that I have found a direction that I am willing to persist in for more than 5 years and love. And I think I can support myself through this direction in the future. I think this is a direction that everyone should find during their college years. Rather than having to complete a very important project, earn a lot of money, or get into a prestigious university, At this stage, it may be more about finding a direction you love, and you have to be willing to stick to a line in this direction. I think this is the most important thing at this stage. In my second stage, I took the postgraduate entrance examination while working. And at that stage, my job was an immersive space interaction designer. At that time, it was because I had a great passion for the direction of art and technology. So at that time, I also found such a job and became colleagues with Boss Su. I have also become colleagues with the current Xiamen team. At that time, it was during the epidemic period. Everyone knows that during the pandemic, our offline exhibitions were like a group of people walking in the opposite direction. No one would choose to do offline at this time. But at that time, I really loved this thing. And I resolutely went in this direction and did this work. Although, of course, the salary may be very low. At this point, I would like to summarize a crucial point. Just staring at the content in the book is far from enough. We have to try to immerse ourselves in an environment that may not be very comfortable at that time. In a work environment, it may be high pressure and there may be many things that you didn't expect. But after the training of that time, I think learning through practice is actually the fastest. At that time, I may have learned more in a week's work than I did in a month. There's one more thing. This must be the direction of your passion. That means this job is a career you love. It can provide you with a positive feedback. If you are in a certain job and it brings you positive feedback, it's just money. Then it may be difficult to keep you going. This is what I can summarize at this stage. Then it moved on to the next stage. I changed my job and had to leave this fantastic team. I went to a relatively traditional company for this job and worked as a US designer, which is a user experience designer and also an interaction designer. It's about doing user experience. At that time, the things I was responsible for were mostly interfaces similar to AppWeb. How do we design the interface, design the interaction process, so that our users can better achieve business goals or have a better user experience? This is what I was going to do at that time, although this thing is contrary to the direction I love and myself, and relatively boring. I have to sit in a cubicle every day, which makes this experience relatively boring for me. However, I think many of its contents are very important and something we need to learn in this era. Many of us students may think during the learning process, I want to learn a certain skill or exercise my ability to use a certain software. I want to make a certain effect very handsome and cool. Although at this stage, I withdrew from doing what we call artistic things. But at this stage, I think I have learned a lot about user thinking, product thinking, and even business thinking. There are also some international perspectives. I think this is a skill that everyone must possess at this stage, including in this era. In the current era of AI, many of our repetitive skills have been replaced by AI. For example, making a picture. For example, we can replace some visual and textual content with AI. At this time, thinking about the three dimensions of users, products, and business. This also includes an international perspective. For example, our country is now going to do more overseas content. It is required that in this era, in addition to learning a skill, everyone also needs to have the ability to understand things. And now at this stage of entrepreneurship, which is from my previous job where I resigned until now. At this stage, I feel like I want to take on self-leadership and conduct low-cost entrepreneurial experiments to quickly initiate your various ideas. Actually, what I really want to summarize at this stage is two words: executionability. When you have any idea that you think can succeed, doing it is a breakthrough from 0 to 1. Including my idea of doing Rain Classroom. It may be my idea within a week, and I immediately put it into practice. Like the Zuckerberg I saw before when he founded Facebook. He said he never thought that Facebook was now a social networking empire. He didn't think about it at the time, he just said whether it was something that could sell well. It may not be an application that can provide a good user experience. But once it's done, it's 99% more successful than those who haven't done it yet. So don't overthink it to perfect. Because no matter what, something can never be thought of as perfect. It must go through a process of iteration step by step. Some product, including app, there's no app that has only iterated one version. So what I want to talk to everyone about at this stage is to quickly execute and iterate your ideas, which inevitably requires continuous thinking. It is very important, including the Gemseed class, which has expanded from being only available on domestic platforms to having students on 5 continents around the world, including some of our personal art projects. None of them require a month of contemplation. We start working on them and implement them first. The most important thing is to think about its approach first. Okay, let me summarize my entire emotional journey in conclusion. In the early stages, you need to first find a general direction that you must love and can persist in for 5 to 10 years or more, because 90% of people may have already given up and switched careers during this process. So at this stage, finding an industry that you are willing to persist in for 5 to 10 years or more is the most important thing. Next is practice, where you need to immerse yourself in a real-world environment. Then in such an environment, you can really learn what you want. Then there is cognition in the current world environment. The process from idea to implementation is a fast one. Don't let yourself get caught up in endless thinking. This is what I'm going to tell you all, including the last sentence. Looking back, although many of the things I learned at that time were exam-oriented knowledge, but there are indeed many things that may have been helpful to me. They are foundation for your success, not a waste. Times change rapidly. Only those who continue to act can accumulate compound interest. That's what I want to share with you this time. Thank you all. Thanks to Liangxi, let's stay for a while. Just now, we all witnessed the achievement of challenging Tsinghua University 4 times. Or want to communicate and understand Alex's other growth experiences, including becoming a super individual. And he built a platform like Gemseed class alone. Okay, let's invite this friend to ask your question. I would like to ask, is execution innate? Definitely not. When I was in primary school and middle school, I was very lazy and didn't study every day. Love must mean that you are willing to do it if you like it, right? It's very important whether this is something you really want to do. You must think about it clearly, and then secondly, you have to think about it. You need to think clearly about the benefits that this thing will bring you after you finish it. You need to quantify the fundamental thing that can give you better execution ability. What benefits can it bring you? Any more? Teacher, I really like one of your works. which has an immersive space for whales. When will you release the tutorial? I've been so busy recently, I will do it later. I want to learn about things like object motion, particles, corals. Okay, I understand. If you can't pass the exam, would you choose to take the exam again? I'm sure I will. Would you choose those 4 years to prepare for the exam again? It depends. If I knew at the time that I would definitely not pass the exam, I definitely wouldn't, right? At that time, the situation was that I always felt like I was almost there. I just feel like there's a glimmer of hope hanging there, and I don't want to regret it. My ultimate goal is still to get into graduate school, so for example, now I might be preparing to study abroad, right? I also applied to a better school. Compared to Tsinghua University, it may be a better school. I feel that experience back then laid the foundation for me to apply to a school like Imperial College London now. I think no matter what was done or the outcome, although I don't know the ending, it must have been effective. No matter what kind of effect, it must have an effect. Understood. I have another question, which is that we are also in the process of learning and finding ourselves. I want to ask, how did you transform some of the pressure and anxiety at that time into the kind of self-drive and execution that you mentioned? What kind of thinking did you go through, and how did you transform it? You need to have a good mentality, good mindset. What to say when you encounter some setbacks. Avoid them and quickly digest them. Do something you enjoy and digest them. Then you still need to stick to your goals and the direction you love, because when you do what you love, you won't feel too much pain, even if you encounter many setbacks in the process of pursuing this goal. But the whole process, including the end, such as seeing your work projected onto a very large staircase, it's about delaying the fulfillment. Understood. I have learned. Thank you. You are a role model and I am learning from you. You are now an idol. You need to establish a good idol image. Just good luck. This time the mat is also L class. This time Alex, she invited a netizen who has been communicating online all along. Winnie Lu, the artist blogger of Zaya Hongshu, also showed us stunning works. We invited her to share her experience as an individual creator.